Thank you for joining us for this interview. And of course, we want to talk about the GMDSS terminal. So, in May 2018, you got the IMO approval. Can you tell us more about the process itself
Sure.
and what were the preconditions and maybe challenges in that process?
Yeah, so we started the process back in 2013. We knew that we were well qualified to offer GMDSS service, but it's quite an extensive process. The IMO, the International Maritime Organization, they're the organization that runs the process, and it was a lengthy process, but a comprehensive process that we followed, throughout the 5 years. There's a few different phases. We had to go through the application phase, which took over 2 years. Then we had to get our application reviewed, and then we had to go through testing of our system and of the product that was going to support the GMDSS service, and that led to the recognition back in May of last year. However, there was some milestones that were achieved. First and foremost, no other company had ever successfully applied for and gotten recognition other than Inmarsat, who had the monopoly for the last 30 years or so. So it was significant in that we were the first to go through this process successfully, get recognized by the IMO for GMDSS, and in essence, we broke that monopoly that Inmarsat had. However, the main focus and the reason we're doing this is for safety of life at sea. It provides the maritime industry with an alternative and another choice for GMDSS, and we think that's important, especially as waterways start to expand around the world.
So, just earlier this week, you had the big reveal of the GMDSS terminal. Can you tell us more about the terminal itself? What are its benefits, main characteristics, and when will the owners and companies be able to have it on board?
Sure. Wouter was actually quoted in the announcement, so I'll let him cover that.
Yeah, so you can imagine when there was a de facto monopoly position for 30 years or more, that there hasn't been that much innovation in this space. And so what we bring to market now with the Lars Thrane terminal, which is called the LT3100S, is basically that innovation. And that innovation is exemplified in the fact that all the GMDSS components and services are combined into one single terminal. So that means also safety voice, distress alert, MSI, distribution. So all of these capabilities within one terminal will make that the safety is going to be much more accurate, and that in case of accidents at sea, that the rescue coordination centers will be able to sort of act much faster and in much more accurate way, because also of the safety voice component that is now within that same terminal, basically.
Yeah, so what are the next steps for, you mentioned earlier that you need some recognition to take place, so what will be the next steps before the very launch?
Yeah, so we got the recognition last year, which obviously was a huge milestone. We are now in the implementation phase. So during this implementation phase, there's a few things that we have to do. One, the terminal that Wouter just mentioned, we've got to get that certified by IMSO. IMSO is the International Mobile Satellite Organization, and they're really the regulator for IMO and for us. So they are going to be our guide to get that certification of the terminal. The other thing that we have to do is the RCCs, or the Rescue Coordination Centers around the world. We need to integrate with them and test our system with each of those RCCs. And then the MSIs, who provide the nav area and MET area information around the world. We will integrate with them as well. And then there's a few other things that we have to do just to meet the requirements for IMSO. And then we should be, depending on that schedule, we should be ready the first part of 2020 to offer service.
Okay, so what about the very installation on board? How will that take place? Are these bridges and the equipment you have already installed on certain ships? Is it ready? Is it compatible with the new terminal?
Well, the Lars Thrane terminal is a very small form factor terminal, so the installation of that terminal is going to be quite straightforward. The antenna is this size, so it's really small. The below decks will be placed on the bridge, and there is a cable in between, basically. So it is a quite simple installation. Also a quite simple upgrade from existing GMDSS stations. Lars Thrane has taken care to make sure that certain elements can be sort of upgraded from the existing installation. So yeah, we think that the time to install such a terminal is really going to be less than what it takes right now to install a GMDSS terminal.
So, why should companies choose this
Yeah.
over the competition? So,
Well,
what do you bring to the
Yeah,
market?
well, we always define it as simply said the three C's. And so the three C's stands for capability, cost, and coverage. And coverage is an easy one because our constellation covers the globe pole to pole. And as we all know, the northern sea routes are gaining more importance these days. So today there is no system that reliably or covers the poles. So coverage is number one. Capabilities, as I mentioned, voice is now integrated into that one single terminal, so that is going to simplify the process in case of emergency. And then the third point, which is really important, is cost. Today, the solutions, again, in a monopoly kind of situation, there is not much competition. So what we are going to bring to the table with Lars Thrane is a terminal that is really going to be positioned as a more affordable option than what is out there today. And more affordable, which also means that not only SOLAS vessels, which are mandatory compliant to have the system on board, but also we see a large market for the non-SOLAS vessels. So there's a lot of fishing vessels in the world that don't have to comply with SOLAS regulation, that now have an affordable option to also secure safety for their seafarers. Also leisure vessels. There's a lot out there that can also benefit now from this more affordable solution. So that's sort of, in a nutshell, the strategy: three C's: cost, capability, and coverage.
One other point I would just say to why the Mariner would choose Iridium is, I think the key thing is that that IMO recognition, right? And when we go into service in 2020, that gives us, I think, a level of credibility with the maritime community. They obviously has got the IMO seal of approval, so they should be comfortable and confident that the Iridium network, the Iridium terminals, the service can support their needs, whether it's a distress call, whether they need to rely on that nav area information or that Met area weather information. They should be comfortable and confident that they now have an alternative and another choice to Inmarsat. And I think that's really important for the industry.
So now that Iridium has renewed its satellite network, and you have the GMDSS terminal approved and in progress. Where do you see your role as Iridium in the maritime market?
Yeah.
Do you plan to expand the portfolio of your services?
Well, I'll do just, you mentioned the new networks. I'll just, touch on that briefly. So, we've been in business for about 20 years. We've been active in the maritime industry. But we just recently finished the completion and the replacement of our existing network. The old network was great. They don't last forever, so it needed to be replaced. So that was one of the key reasons that we did it. But we also are now using 21st century technology, so we've got more capacity. The key is, though, that we now have broadband services and speeds that are more than capable and really a superior alternative to what Inmarsat provides. It's faster speeds, and we are using world-class manufacturers for the products. Cobham and Thales are our two maritime value-added manufacturers. They've been great partners, and these world-class products have hit the market, and the industry is, we can feel the excitement. We're here at North Shipping this week, and again, having that another choice. But the key is that there's confidence in the new network, and also in the products and services and capabilities that we're rolling out. The product brand name is Certus. That's Latin for certain, reliable, and sure. And we're focused on the L band. there's a lot of VSAT out there today, but our role is to stay focused on the L band. It's specialty broadband, and that's going to be our focus for the maritime industry. And your question on what our plans are, we do plan to expand Certus and penetrate markets that we couldn't compete in before because we just didn't have the capability, but now we do.
I just want to touch upon one more topic. Recently, you joined forces with Rolls-Royce on the automation of vessels. Can you tell us more about that project and your involvement? Because in the automation of shipping, because automation has been a very hot topic in the industry, and there are a lot of concerns and excitement. So, can you just tell us more about the project?
Yeah, so we all hear the talk about the connected ship, digitalization. I think just like any other industry, the maritime industry is also picking up on that digitalization, maybe a bit slower than some of the other industries. But then again, it's a complex industry. The world merchants fleet, the average age is close to 15 years. There's thousands of data points on a vessel. So it is quite complex to sort of manage to digitalize, to incorporate big data into the business models of these shipping companies when you are sort of faced with that complexity. But obviously, it is happening, and that's also where Iridium and the network can be the backbone, can be the smart grid of such a digital ship, so to speak. When it comes to autonomous vessels, we are in a project with Rolls-Royce. We are learning with them, we are studying with them, and it is of course going to be not for tomorrow. It will be for the day after tomorrow, but we can see already developments into semi-autonomous vessels. We can see that, for instance, on inland waterways, there is a lot of developments happening. So it is happening. Of course, regulation is another element, which, as we all know, that is not the fastest moving sort of element. So there's a lot of the complexity with the regulation, with, let's say, the shipping industry. There is a lot happening, but it is going at a slower pace. We at Iridium, we already support a lot of autonomous assets at sea, you could say. Maybe not vessels, but gliders, ocean buoys. You might have heard about the ocean cleanup system to rid the oceans of plastic. Well, that system is a passive autonomous system, and so we have broadband terminals on that system to ensure for the ocean cleanup team that system performance is monitored 24/7. And there's also other Iridium kit from partners on that system to do other measurements and so on and so forth. So I think as a network, because we are LEO, because we are L-band, because we sort of work through all weather conditions and we are truly global, we are very well positioned to sort of follow that autonomous vessel development and autonomous asset Internet of Things in the ocean. So we feel that we're really well positioned for the next 15 years with our network for that.
And we have a lot of experience that we can translate from different industries to maritime. So, for example, we're very involved in the heavy equipment industry with brand names like Caterpillar, Komatsu, Hitachi, who use, again, the benefits and the uniqueness of our network, that smaller, lighter, faster devices on the assets that can work anywhere in the world, and it provides that level of reliability that other networks just can't provide. We're going to take that experience that we have there and translate it to the maritime and shipping industry, and as you mentioned, Rolls-Royce is a great example of that.
So just to wrap up, so how do you see the future of the shipping industry and the maritime world?
I'll just comment. I think for us, it's very exciting. Obviously, now that we are, recognized for GMDSS and going to be offering that service early next year, that's a great way to support the industry for safety of life at sea. With our new Certus capabilities, to be able to provide broadband communications for the maritime industry. It's going to provide a level of growth for us. And just the fact that we've got this new network that we can leverage, there's probably things that are going to be developed over the course of the next 5 to 10 years that we can't even imagine right now. That's the way our business has evolved over time. So we're really excited. It's a great time to be at Iridium, and it's a great time to be in the maritime industry.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.